So this is essentially just the reverse of what we just got done doing. So all of those problems that you were just practicing where you were multiplying out those two binomials, you came up with an answer. The problems now are going to look like the answers, and our answers are going to look like the original problems. Okay, so the first example we're going to do together is x squared minus 18x minus 40. And our goal is to turn it into something that looks like one of those problems that you were just practicing. There are dozens of different ways to do this. Our school kind of clings to this X and box method. How many of you remember kind of an X thing from the past in a box? I use something that's way faster than that. However, it requires really strong like number facts. Like when I ask you what's 5 times 7, if you've got to think for more than half a second to answer that, then the other way that you can do this is probably not going to go well for you. So if your number facts are strong, like, are we good with number facts? What's 6 times 8? 7 times 9. 7 times 9. Like if you can answer those types of questions really quickly, or give me 3 different ways that I can multiply 2 numbers to get 24. 24 times 1, 2 times 12, 6 times 4, 8 times 3. Like if you can do that pretty quickly, then this is going to go a little bit easier for you. If you're not so strong with that, then this will be a little bit more challenging, but it'll take you longer, but that time is going to translate into you are going to get stronger with that stuff, and it is going to help you with a lot more in math later on. So anyways, let's go through how this works. So when we're dealing with this, there are 3 important numbers that we got to keep in mind. I'm going to show you the X box method first. There is an invisible 1 in front of this x squared, and that 1 is going to be our a. So a is whatever number coefficient is in front of your x squared. B is whatever your coefficient on your x is. So B would be negative 18. And C is whatever your constant number is, the thing without the x. In this case, that's negative 40. I don't usually write these down when I'm doing the work, but since we're taking notes here, I'm writing them down just so that we can kind of have a record of our thoughts. So I would think to myself, A is 1, B is negative 18, C is 40. And then we're going to draw an X. This is going to represent those diamond problems. You guys probably did a million diamond problems last year in Algebra 1. I hope you did a million diamonds problems last year in Algebra 1. If not, I'll show you how they work. When we're going to create a diamond problem by putting A times C in the top and B in the bottom. So A times C, for us, that would be 1 times negative 40. What's that give us? Negative 40. And then B is in the bottom, and for our B, we've got negative 18. Is this seeming familiar? How many people are like, yeah, I've seen this before? It's only half. Okay, well, that's okay. Stick with me. Any questions so far? All right. Now comes, this is the hardest part of the whole problem, okay? What we got to do is we've got to come up with 2 numbers to put in the sides here and here. Those 2 numbers need to multiply to give us the number in the top, and they need to add to give us the number in the bottom. You have to multiply to give you the number in the top, and they have to add to give you the number in the bottom. Now, one of the things that's helpful to people in figuring this out, if your math facts are not super strong, take the number in the top, ignore the negative on it, and off to the side, write out all the different ways you can think of to get 40. Start with 1 times 40. And do this methodically. Start with 1 and go up from there. Can 2 multiply by something to give you 40? 2 times 20. How about 3? No, skipping 3. How about 4? 4 times 10. How about 5? 5 times 8. How about 6? No. How about 7? No. And then 8 is a repeat, so I know my list is complete. So if you kind of start and you go up until you see something repeat, then you know that this is all of them. Now we need to add 2 numbers together. Keep in mind though, one of them is going to be negative, right? Because this is actually a negative 40. So we need to add 2 numbers together to get 18 or negative 18 actually. And I'm thinking 2 and 20 could work if one of them was negative, right? Which one do I want to be negative, the 2 or the 20? Because we're trying to add them to negative 18. So we'll make the 20 negative and the 2 positive. That's the hardest part of this whole process, is doing that diamond problem. Now, there's a little bit of shortcut. Does anybody remember the thing where you drew the box over here? There's a whole nother step to this. No? Okay. Maybe we'll stay away from that today, and maybe we'll hit that when I see you again on Tuesday. There is a little bit of a shortcut. If A is 1, okay, if A is 1, then we're actually done. These 2 numbers are going to give us our final answer. My final answer is going to be x plus 2 and x minus 20. That only works though if A is 1. That only works if A is 1. Okay, so let's look at your homework assignment, that handout. Flip over onto the back side there. And we're going to cut some of these off. I am so sorry, guys, that I'm going to have to remove some of your homework from you. We only want to do problems where A is 1. Is A 1 here on this first problem, number 21? Yes. In fact, A is 1 for all of these problems until we get to, where's the first place that we see an A value that's not 1? 31. Can you guys draw a line above 31? I need you to go. You do not have to do 31 through 40. Let's just focus on the simple version for today. Don't scratch them all out though. That's a draw line. We're going to do them later. Okay. Now, hey, could you look at 25 real quick? 25, I think we should talk about that because it looks a little different from all the rest, doesn't it? I can actually rewrite this as p squared. I'm going to leave a little space before the minus 16. All the rest of them would have a p in it, right? This one doesn't have a p in it. What if I wanted to put a p right here? What number would I put in front of that p? No, not in this case, because we don't want a p to be in it at all. What number am I going to put in front? 0. Because there was no p in my original equation, right? So I'm adding, in order to do the process, we need an A and a B and a C. B is going to be 0 for this problem. B is going to be 0 for this one. So you'll end up doing this a lot in Algebra 2. You're like, there's supposed to be 3 things here, but there's only 2. I'm going to make it into 3 by adding something with a 0 in there. Because this is the same, isn't it? All I'm adding is 0 times P, which is guaranteed to be 0. All right. So that's going to be your homework. Anybody interested in a faster way of doing this? All right, so I'm going to show you the quicker way of doing this. And you can actually use this to do some of the more complicated ones. Let me come up with an example here. X squared minus 5x plus, hang on here, 5 would be, what do I want to do? I'm having a hard time coming up with one of these. 24. Yeah. That's not plus, it's minus 24. My bad. X squared minus 5x minus 24. I'll show you how I would work through this quickly. You ready? Again, your math facts need to be pretty strong with this. I know that these two things right here are going to multiply to give me this thing. And the only way to get x squared is if it's x and x. That is the only way to get it. I also know that, let me grab a different color, that these two things right here have to multiply to give me that negative 24. I can think of lots of ways to get negative 24. The fact that it's negative, though, I'm going to look for things that subtract to give me the middle number. So I'm thinking, because I know that my middle number has to come from these things. Okay, so whatever this number is and this number is, they need to subtract because of the minus to give me negative 5. So I start going through 24. How can I get 24? 6 times 4 gives me 24, right? Can you subtract 6 and 4 and get 5? No. What else? 2 times 12 gets me 24. Can you subtract 2 and 12 and get 5? No. 8 times 3 gives me 24. Can you subtract 8 and 3 and get 5? Yeah, we actually want a negative 5. So which one do we want to make negative, the 8 or the 3? So x minus 8, x plus 3. But you got to be able to do a lot of stuff in your head really quickly to make that work. Okay. All right, so I would recommend that you guys practice using this x method here. You got 10 more problems to do there. And then we'll come back and we'll hit the more complicated stuff on Tuesday. All right.